All right, guys. Happy Memorial Day. Welcome into the Monday edition of Black and Gold Breakdown on the channel. If you're not already subscribed, do all that good YouTube stuff. Almost to 1,000 subscribers. We crossed the 900 threshold. I think it's like 911 right now. So about 89 away. They keep coming very quickly, so I appreciate the continued support since we started doing this about a month ago. So thank you guys so much for that. So today or this morning, I guess, I wrote a piece about about Russell Wilson and why this could work. Not to say that he's going to be elite, not to say he's going to be great, but it could work. He can be productive, and the Steelers can win with him. And so I wrote a piece about it this morning about what Russell Wilson does well, what he did well last year, and why that fits into what the Steelers are going to do offensively and why they can be successful offensively this year. And again, we talked about it a lot over the past few weeks about, oh my goodness, every offseason it seems that everybody just writes off the Steelers, and this offseason is no different. Their over-under coming into the year is set at 7.5 wins after winning 10 games last year and getting better virtually everywhere on the field and on the offensive coaching staff. We've gone through this a lot, so I'll try to keep it short. But when you get better at quarterback, offensive line, adding guys like Patrick Queen to the defense and Deshaun Elliott to the defense, like I just don't see why anyone would think they're gonna be like worse. So I wrote a piece earlier today about Russell Wilson and why this could work, why the offense, fits into what he does best. And that is where we'll go with this today. So I'll pull up this graphic real quick of Russell Wilson. So this is just a quick look into his numbers from last year. And what the Steelers are going to do offensively, lean into a lot of these numbers and lean into why they're going to work. Where this is going to be an offense that leans into the run game, leans into the play action side of things. And that's only going to help Russell Wilson. So if you look here, fourth in completion yards or fourth in completions of 25 or more air yards. Okay, he's got to let the ball fly downfield. He's got to sling it. He's got to let it fly. Third in yards on 25 or more air yard passes. So he's fourth in completions and third in yards on passes 25 or more yards downfield. He's fourth in touchdown passes on passes 25 or more yards downfield. And when you throw in play action, you see seventh in the league in passer rating of passes on 20 or more air yards with play action thrown in. And he had the fourth highest catchable pass percentage with planted feet. And that's another thing we'll touch on later as to why Russ will work with the Steelers. But let's start with the deep ball passing. So you see, again, fourth in completions, third in passing yards, fourth in touchdown passes on passes that travel 25 or more yards through the air. Why is that a big deal? Well, Arthur Smith is going to call an offense where Russ is allowed to sling it. If you look at Arthur Smith's offense from his time in Tennessee, if you look at his offense from his days in Atlanta, even like last year, say what you want about Desmond Ridder, he wasn't good, but on play action, he was good. And when you look at Ryan Tannehill in 2019 and 2020, he was one of the best throwers of the football off play action, and the Titans had one of the more deadly air attacks off play action, where it was just, okay, run the ball a lot with Derrick Henry, pound the rock, get into second and short situations, second and medium situations, play action to Derrick Henry, and let the ball fly to A.J. Brown. We're going to see something similar to that with the Steelers this year. What's going to be, all right, we're going to pound it with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren early on, get into second and medium, second and short, third and short, and then when we get into those situations, we're going to let Russ sling it downfield to George Pickens, let him hit Roman Wilson on those intermediate crossers. A Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin might get some looks as well. Whoever they bring in at receiver will be thrown into the mix. And so the fact that Arthur Smith likes to sling it, likes to run the ball, that's only going to play in and help Russ rather than him have to create, which anymore in his career, man, we talk about the sack numbers. A large reason why the sack numbers are up is because Russ still thinks he's as athletic as he was 10 years ago. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. That's where the planted feet stat comes into play. Because the fourth highest catchable pass percentage in the NFL last year when his feet were planted, when he wasn't running around trying to do too much at once, when he was just able to stand still, let the play develop, and throw the ball, he was one of the more efficient quarterbacks in the NFL. And again, this isn't to say that Russ is going to be an elite quarterback. I don't think he's going to be, but the Steelers don't need him to be. Last year, the Steelers were driven off the road because of how bad their quarterback play was. And they had to get some fast and furious type luck going on a ramp to even get into the playoffs. They're just going to ask Russ, look, man, just keep us on the road. Okay? Keep us on the road. Make the occasional pass that we, make a few throws a game that we need you to make, but you don't have to do anything crazy and do the thing that you do best, and that's throw the ball deep. We're going to let you do that a few times a game because he's still got the moon ball. These numbers show that. If you watched his play last year, he showed it. So I am optimistic about why this could work with Russ because of the numbers on the screen right now, where, again, on passes that traveled 25 or more yards downfield, Russ was fourth in the NFL in completions, third in yards, fourth in touchdowns. And when you throw in play action and deep ball passing, he was seventh in the league in passer rating on passes that traveled 20 or more yards downfield off play action. And when he's able to set his feet, he threw the fourth highest catchable pass percentage last year when he wasn't running around trying to create, which has led to a lot of those sacks. So I'm very optimistic about what this can look like with Russell Wilson. And again, that's not to say that he's going to be some elite quarterback. He's not. We can be realistic and optimistic at the same time. I think that he can be what the Steelers need, especially in the Arthur Smith offense, which is going to lean into the stuff that he does well. That doesn't mean that I think he's going to be great. I don't think he's going to be great. I think he can be exactly what the Steelers need, which is a competent quarterback. And if he produces in a way that he did last year, just statistically speaking, then the Steelers are going to be a playoff team. But the numbers on the screen, man, they don't lie. And Arthur Smith is a guy who loves to sling it downfield. And he's absolutely going to let Russ uncork a few of these per game, which I'm looking forward to seeing. But there's a reason why this could work. One, he's not Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, or Mason Rudolph. And no offense to Mason Rudolph, he played very well at the end of the year, but we know he's not a franchise quarterback. Russ, we kind of know what he is at this point. He's a guy who used to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league a couple years ago, threw 40 touchdowns, went to a situation that wasn't beneficial to him, both with Nathaniel Hackett, where that was beneficial to nobody, and then everything going on with Sean Payton. It just didn't work out. Now, look, that's all right. Sometimes things just don't work out. Now, he was much better in 2023 than in 2022. But these numbers come in a system where downfield passing isn't necessarily what is called for. But now he's going to be in an offense that's going to lean into him throwing those moon balls. And I think he's going to benefit greatly from it. So that's why I think that this can work. And again, if you want to read the entire piece, you can go to behindthesteelcurtain.com and find my entire piece on Russell Wilson and the entire situation. I'll throw that graphic up again before the end of the show, just in case anybody hops in and hasn't seen it yet. But there's a reason why, people are optimistic, myself included. And again, doesn't mean that I think Russell Wilson is going to be elite. He's Very unlikely to be elite again. But can he be fine? Yes, he can be fine. And if he's fine and the Steelers defense is as advertised, this is going to be a good football team. You can get along and win games with fine quarterback play if you have a great defense, which the Steelers do have. But he can be fine. And those numbers show that he can be fine. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the offense. I'm looking forward to seeing what the offense looks like. And look, already seeing a little bit of a glimpse of it in OTAs. I'll be back on Thursday for OTAs to see the Steelers back on the field. So I'm pretty excited to see what the Steelers look like. This is going to be, again, I can't see them being worse. I can't see them being worse. They won 10 games last year with a bottom 3 quarterback room. They were calling guys from the practice squad, guys off the streets, guys from retirement to come play defense for them and at safety and linebacker because they had so many injuries. And the offensive line was bad. I don't see that tire fire of a team that won 10 games magically only winning 7. It makes no logical sense. And this is another argument that I'm tired of hearing. Every defense in your division has a great defense. Yeah, sure. Guess what? They've won 7 of 8 against the Ravens. Okay? They beat the Browns at least once a year consistently. They beat up on the Bengals defense last year. So I ain't worried. Now, I think the Bengals are going to be good. Quite frankly, as a Steelers fan, are the Ravens going to win some games? Probably. They haven't beaten the Steelers a lot. Lost 7 of the last 8 to the Steelers. And with the Browns, I think the Browns are going to be worse than what they were last year. Their defense is still going to be awesome, but I think that they're going to be bad. I shouldn't say bad. Deshaun Watson's not good. And the Browns are going to take a step back. They aren't going to win. I think they went 11-6 last year. They ain't going to do that. They're going to take a step back. Again, their defense will be awesome, but when you got Deshaun Watson under center, there's only so far that you can go. So I'm not too worried. Not too worried. Now, I get you're probably just hate watching this at this point, but whatever. To each their own. It gets me more engagement. I don't care. But when it comes to the Steelers as a whole, this can work. And when I say can work, that doesn't mean, oh, you think they're going to win the Super Bowl? No. Odds are, no, they're probably not going to. I don't think that they're going to. Unless Russ really turns back the clock, which, again, I don't think he's going to. But I think he can be fine. I think he can be fine. Hell, he was fine last year. Everybody, you have to have, some extreme opinion in today's world of media, which is why part of me really hates it sometimes. You either got to think this person's the greatest thing on earth or he's terrible. No. As is with most cases, there's a middle ground. And the middle ground with Russell Wilson is he was fine. And guess what? Steelers, they just need fine right now. And again, doesn't mean they're going to win a Super Bowl this year. But can they win a playoff game? Sure. Absolutely. Especially, and I've talked about this scenario before, but if they end up being, the 7 seed or the 6 seed, and the Ravens win the division again, and they face Baltimore in the wild card round, that's a game that I think they win. But yeah, if they face Cincinnati, do I think that they'll win? Probably not. If they face Houston, do I think they'll win? Probably not. Kansas City, Buffalo, probably not. So, now, do I think it's impossible? No. But, I would lean toward those other teams being in better positions to win. So, when it comes to Pittsburgh, I'm excited to see what the offense looks like. Excited to see what this team looks like. Excited to see what Russell Wilson looks like. I'm going to do a piece similar to this one that I did earlier today on Justin Fields, just to look at some numbers for him to compare. Because I've said it before, I think that Fields and Wilson both fit what Arthur Smith wants to do for different reasons. For Wilson, it's the play action deep balls. For Justin Fields, it's obviously the athleticism. So, we'll talk about Justin Fields later on a little bit more this week. especially on Thursday after I go to OTAs. Do a lot of write-ups on what I see from Justin Fields. So that'll be fun. We'll talk about that. But yeah, I wanted to talk about Russell Wilson today because I did the piece earlier today highlighting some of the things he did well last year. So that's where we're at this point. And again, we are, 66 days away from the Pro Football Hall of Fame game, the Texans and the Bears. That'll be good. Again, 66 days. That's 2 months. 2 months from football. We can make it. We can make it. We'll be all right. 2 months and a week. And in less than 2 months, training camp will be in. I assume NFL Network's still going to do Inside Training Camp Live. And if they don't, somebody needs hit in the face. That's just awful. Oh, that's awful. But I'm hoping that they do that, as they've done for the last, I don't know how long. It's been a while. Inside Training Camp Live is the greatest thing ever in July, and they need to keep it. I know they've made a lot of changes on NFL Network, but hopefully they keep that because it rules. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Like I said, I'll be at OTAs. I'll be at a day of mini camp. And then once training camp gets here late July, I'll be there. Don't know how many days, but I'll be there for at least a handful of days at training camp. And give you my firsthand thoughts on what I see. If you have any questions, comments, absolutely drop them in the chat. I saw Worthy in here somewhere who was just saying, hey, good to see you back. Hope everybody's having a good Memorial Day. Even you, Patriot Watch. By the way, you should read the, I don't know when it's coming out, but my all breakout team. There's a Patriot on there. So you'll have to give that a read once it comes out on USA Today. There's a little tease for you. There's a Patriot on it. I know. I'll talk about it when it's released. But yeah, I assumed everybody was going to be a little bit busy tonight. Let's see. The number right now says we have 628 people watching. Hello, everybody. I appreciate it. Hope you all had a good Memorial Day. You're not a Patriot fan? Oh, Bears fan. Is there a Bears fan or a Bears player on it? I don't think I have a Bears player on it. But I think they'll be good. Here's something that we can mend fences with. I think the Bears will be a playoff team this year. I think they'll be the 7th seed. I think they're going to be pretty good. I love their defense. I think Caleb Williams is going to be, don't think he's going to be elite right away, but I think he'll be a good quarterback. Like their offense. Yeah. I think the Bears will be a fun, 9-8, number 7 seed in the NFC. Like I said, I figured that people were going to be a little bit busy today for Memorial Day, but wanted to hop on and talk about Russell Wilson for a minute. If you get any more comments, or if you want to comment, by all means, go ahead and do that. Whether you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're watching, go ahead and drop that in, and we'll get you to be a part of the conversation. It's a good time. NFC North and AFC North, 2 best divisions of football. I throw the AFC South in there too, but yeah, NFC North with Green Bay, Detroit, and I think Chicago is going to be a playoff team. I think they'll have 3 playoff teams. With the AFC North, I would say 2, perhaps 3. But I think all of them are going to be, within that. I'd say at least 7 to 8 wins in the AFC North. In the NFC North, I don't know how much I believe in JJ McCarthy. He's very aesthetically pleasing in the Vikings uniform. I saw him at the at the rookie premiere, and he looks good in the number 9. Gives me a lot of Trace McSorley vibes from Penn State. So he looks aesthetically pleasing, but I don't think they're going to be much of a threat. I just don't think I believe in him necessarily. I don't dislike him. I don't have anything against him. I just don't think he's going to be all that great. I think his ceiling is being like a Brock Purdy, a Tua, someone like that. But yeah, NFC North is going to be good. I love Jordan Love. Like Caleb Williams a lot. I like what they're doing in Chicago. The Lions are going to be fun. So yeah, NFC North will be a fun division to watch this year. The Packers are my projected number 1 seed. I think the Packers are going to be awesome. So, yeah, NFC North will be good. AFC North, I mean, AFC North is usually pretty fire. It's usually just stacked. So we'll see. And again, there hasn't been 3 straight winners of the AFC North since division realignment in 2001 is when division realignment was. So the Bengals won it 2 years in a row, and then last year happened where Burrow got hurt, and then the Ravens won it. So similar to the NFC East, there hasn't been a back-to-back NFC East winner since 03-04. Do you think Tua is worth $50 million? No. No, he is not. As a guy who loves Josh Allen, though, and watches a lot of Bills stuff, I can tell you this. The Bills would love if the Dolphins gave Tua $50 million a year. They would love that. But my working theory looking ahead is that they're not going to give him that money. They're going to give it to Dak. I think Dak is going to be a Dolphin. That's my conspiracy theory. Hi, Rob. Happy Memorial Day to you. Thanks for watching. And again, if people are just coming in, I'll throw this graphic back on the screen. So today I wrote a piece about Russell Wilson, what he did well last year, what I think he's going to keep doing well. This is just a little bit of a look into that. Hold on, let me take this off the screen. Sorry, Rob. Hide that real quick. Okay, so just some advanced stats to look at Russell Wilson real quick. Again, I wrote about it today, so I figured that it would be a good talking point for the show. When talking about passes of 25 or more yards downfield, Russ was 4th in completions, 3rd in yards, and 4th in touchdowns. When you throw play action into that, he was 7th in the NFL in passer rating of passes 20 or more yards downfield off play action. And then when he was throwing with his feet planted, meaning that he wasn't running around, wasn't throwing on the run, under duress, anything like that. But he just got to be able to stand with his feet planted, survey the field, and throw the ball. He had the 4th highest catchable pass percentage in the NFL. So the Steelers are going to lean into a lot of this, where they're going to run the ball on early downs to set up 2nd and medium, 2nd and shorts, 3rd and shorts, and utilize the play action and let Russ throw those moon balls that he's still good at throwing. So George Pickens is going to get a few of those jump balls a game. We'll see a few to Roman Wilson over the middle on the intermediate crossers, maybe some Calvin Austin, perhaps Van Jefferson. We'll see who else they add at receiver to be part of this mix, but there is a lot to like with Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense. And again, this is not me saying that he's going to be elite. This is not me saying that he's going to turn back time and be a top 5 quarterback. This is me saying that the offense can be fine. If everything goes well, they can be a top 20 offense. They can, if they are the 16th best offense in football this year and the defense is as advertised, they are chilling. They are going to be a playoff team if that's the case. So Russ was fine last season. I think he can be fine this season, especially in an offense that leans more into what he does well than the offense that he was just a part of. So that was the focal point of today's episode. Rob says, if we can run the ball, Russ is going to cook. I think they will be able to run the ball. They were able to run it last year with a few holes on the offensive line. Getting better at center, that certainly helps. Getting better, whoever starts at left tackle and right tackle, whatever alignment they go with, they got better at 2 big holes. So I'm very optimistic about the offense. And when I say I'm very optimistic, again, it just means I think that they can be a top 15 to 16 unit. And again, if they are that, then I like their odds of being, a good, having a good record, getting into the playoffs, and perhaps winning a playoff game. I certainly think that all of that is on the table if the offense comes into its own. So that was the focal point of today's show. Getting more into the open forum portion of it, getting questions and everything. You think Miami will pay Dak? I do. Again, this is my working theory here. I just think that the Cowboys are just going to hit reset. I think that they're, this whole Dak thing, not necessarily to the fault of his own. He hasn't been dealt the greatest hand in terms of, his series of coaches that he's had. Offensive coordinator wise, like I think we're starting to see, we especially started to see it last year with Kellen Moore and the Chargers. Is like, oh my goodness, like maybe he wasn't as great as we all thought that he was. I'm not saying that Kellen Moore's horrible, but he's definitely not like the boy genius. He's not in the same categories like a Ben Johnson, or any of these other like big name OCs and play callers. Um, I think that Dak will be ready for a new start, especially if you can go to Miami and be with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Like, I think that would have a similar effect as what Stafford did from going to Detroit to Los Angeles. Not to say that I think that the Dolphins and Dak would win a Super Bowl in their first year, but I think that they could get a deep playoff run out of that. And now for Miami, right now they have the longest drought in the NFL when it comes to playoff wins. They haven't won a playoff game since 2001. So they are the team who has gone the longest without a playoff win in the NFL. So they're hoping to break that streak. And again, I think that they've just kind of hit their ceiling with Tua. Like, I think last year was probably as good as it's going to get. Like, you could be good in the regular season. You can play fast, but okay, what's that mean in the playoffs? Because they are 2-21 or 2-20 in their last 22 games played under 50 degrees. Like, guess what? You got to play in Buffalo. You got to play in Cincinnati. You got to play in Kansas City or Baltimore or Pittsburgh if you want to get to the Super Bowl. So I don't take the Dolphins seriously the way that they are currently constructed. I think that Dak is a very clear and obvious upgrade over Tua. And so if they're going to pay a quarterback money, pay a good one. And if you can get Dak Prescott instead of paying Tua $50 million a year, you should do that. And I could see Tua going to a place like Vegas or Seattle, someone that needs a quarterback. So, yeah, it will be interesting to say the least. But that's, next offseason to look forward to. That's just kind of my thought process behind it right now. But I'm excited to see what this season brings. And again, we're 2 months away from training camp. We are 66 days away from the Pro Football Hall of Fame game. Cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. Rob chiming in here. Biggest fear every year is staying healthy. Terrified that George Pickens is going to get hurt. Where do we go if Pickens is out a few games during that backstretch? Again, I think they're going to bring in another receiver to be that number 2 boundary guy, whether that be Traylon Burks, Cortland Sutton. And again, I know that Traylon Burks wouldn't excite too many people, but he's better than, having Van Jefferson up there as the number 2. So I think that Cortland Sutton is the most realistic, quote unquote, big name that they can get because, again, he wants a new contract. The Broncos don't want to give it to him. Him and Russell Wilson are boys. A lot of connective tissue here. Zach Azzani was his wide receivers coach in Denver for a little bit. He's now the Steelers wide receivers coach. There is a lot of connective tissue for Cortland Sutton in Pittsburgh right now. So I'm intrigued. And look, the Steelers already reached out to Denver. They were told no. But if Cortland Sutton doesn't show up for mandatory minicamp, is still away from the team, doesn't come to training camp, then maybe their stance will lighten a little bit. Be like, okay, drafted Troy Franklin. We signed Josh Reynolds, have Tim Patrick, have Lil Jordan Humphrey. Like, we feel, we've got 3 to 4 guys that we can play. We may as well get something for Cortland Sutton. So we'll send him to Pittsburgh for, a pair of day 3 draft picks and go from there. I think that is the most likely option to happen. And again, it's going to require some patience because I don't think it's going to happen, at the beginning of June. I think it's more likely to happen at the earliest mid-June after the Broncos minicamp or during the Broncos minicamp if Cortland's not there. And I think at the latest, I don't know, late July during training camp, we're like, okay, he's not coming. We're not going to give him a new deal. We'll just trade him. Now, if you're Pittsburgh, that comes with the caveat of, okay, you're going to want to give him money and he's going to want money. So you're going to have to pay him a little bit. But the Steelers also have the money to do that where it's not going to hurt them. So I think that there's some flexibility that the Steelers have right now because they're not paying a quarterback. So, if and when they do acquire Cortland Sutton and pay him, people are going to be like, oh my goodness, they're giving, Cortland Sutton $21 million a year. Well, you also got to remember the wide receiver market is rapidly increasing. Amon-Ra St. Brown just got 28 or 30. A.J. Brown just got somewhere around there. Devonta Smith just got 25 a year, I think. So, on the surface, yeah, that seems like a lot of money. But right now, I mean, it's kind of market value for a guy of his caliber. And look, guys like Brandon Ayuk, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, they're all going to get paid. They're all going to be making between 30 and 35 million a year. Especially if Justin Jefferson's the last one to get paid. Yeah, he's Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Those are the three big ones to watch. Because all of them are going to get between 30 and 35, and the last one to get paid is probably going to get 35. So if you're the Vikings, the Bengals, and the Cowboys, you are trying to get this done. But here's the thing. Dallas reportedly kind of dragging their feet. The Vikings, I think that they're going to probably be the first ones to get done, which might not be what Justin Jefferson necessarily wants, because I'm sure that he would like to continue to drive with that price. But at the same time, if he's offered $32.5, $33 million a year, he's not going to say no to that. And then if you're Jamar Chase, you say, okay, I'm getting at least what Justin Jefferson got. And then if you're CeeDee Lamb, you're saying, I'm getting at least what those two got. So on the surface, yeah, if you're paying Courtland Sutton $21 million, that seems like a lot. But in today's NFL, where, again, the market price for receivers has drastically gone up over the past calendar year, it's not all that much. Really, over the past 2 years, when Christian Kirk got the $19 million a year deal, that's when this really started to increase. But now, you go from Christian Kirk getting 19, who, I mean, let's face it, that was, somewhat of an overpay by the Jaguars. I like Christian Kirk. I wouldn't have paid him that much money. And now we're looking at guys that are going to be making potentially almost double that. Just 2 years later, 3 years later. So the market moves fast in the NFL. And again, I wouldn't be necessarily worried about the money when it comes to Courtland Sutton, because I think that just, a $20 to $21 million a year deal kind of fits a player of his caliber at this point. Again, not an elite guy, but a good receiver. And unfortunately, if you got to pay good receiver money for a good receiver now. So, and again, we'll see how long that deal will be. It'll probably be, my guess, for 2 years. So when they have to kick in the effect for George Pickens' contract, they won't be paying two receivers. That's just my personal guess. So you can have Courtland Sutton for 2 years, and then once that deal expires, that first year after, George Pickens' extension kicks in. So it all works itself out in the wash. I'm not worried about it. Not worried about it at all. If anybody else has any other questions, again, I know we're doing this on Memorial Day, so I didn't expect, a boatload of people in here. But again, we got 830 eyes on us. So if you have any sort of questions, drop them in the comments. We'll stay on for another few minutes before we get on out of here. I hope everybody had a good Memorial Day and ate a lot of glizzies, a lot of burgers. Apparently there's no baseball on today. Is that a thing? I saw somebody tweeting about why there's no baseball played on Memorial Day. Apparently it's part of their CBA. But again, hope everybody had a good and safe Memorial Day and ate a lot of grilled food, because it's awesome. Kind of like the introduction to summer is Memorial Day. And I think the outro to summer is 4th of July, personally. It's still hot for a little bit afterwards, but once 4th of July comes, again, 2 weeks later, training camp starts, and then preseason, and then football's here. And then by the time football's here, okay, it's starting to get cold in the morning, and the leaves are starting to change. So again, this is kind of the intro to summer. And then in a few months, we'll have the outro with football coming in. So I'm kind of ready. Keaton, what kind of role do you think Arthur Smith will give Cordero Patterson? He'll return kicks. Respectfully speaking to Cordero Patterson, he'll return kicks, and if Najee or Jalen Warren get hurt, I don't even think he's going to play that role. They signed Jonathan Ward, and they signed LaMichael Pirine. They got Dajon Edwards. They have a bunch of different guys who they would put up into that third running back role, who will come in and get carries and, pass block on third down before they put Cordero Patterson there. I think Cordero Patterson is purely there because he's good at kick returning, and that's all they're going to use him for. I don't see him getting too many touches in the offense. Not to say he won't get any, because, he's on the roster. I'm sure he'll get some, but I think most of his will come as gadget type plays. I don't see him being used too much in the offense. Would be my guess. Because he's not going to go out and like really pass block. Again, that's why they signed Jonathan Ward. You have your depth guys right now that'll compete in camp, like like Michael P. Ryan, like Dejan Edwards. So I think that at this point in his career, he's 33 now, 34 now. He's kind of in that twilight part of his career, similar to what Devin Hester was when he was like playing in Atlanta and Baltimore, where he's still good at kick returning, but outside of that, man, you're not going to get too much from him. So I think that that'll be kind of his role from now, which is fine. A couple years ago, he had that, fantasy players loved him because he had a bunch of touchdowns. But I think that he'll be kick returner, and in case of emergency, he'll get some offensive touches. But I don't see him getting a ton, to be honest. Just my thoughts. Thoughts on the Commanders? I think Jayden Daniels would be good, and I believe they could compete with Dallas for second in that division behind Philly. I'm skeptical about the Commanders. I loved their draft, and I loved a lot of the offseason additions, like Frankie Louvu, one of my favorite linebackers in the league. By the way, you can go watch my interview with Frankie Louvu on this channel. If you just type in my name followed by Frankie Louvu, I'm sure you'll find it. I did that a couple weeks ago. Love Frankie Louvu. So I love that addition. They bring in Bobby Wagner as well, Jeremy Chin. They draft Mike Sanders still. He's going to be their starting nickel from day one. Austin Eckler. They've got a nice core of guys there, and I think that Dan Quinn's going to do a good job with that defense. I think I'm just skeptical about Jayden Daniels personally. I think he's small. It's like physically wise, not like height wise all that much, but like he's just tiny. And the way that he plays, man, like I've seen this before in Washington. It was called Robert Griffin III. So I have my skepticisms about his style of play and him lasting a good amount of time. But everything else on the roster, man, I really like. A little bit. Did anybody else see that picture of Emmanuel Forbes with a fan where he looks like he weighs legitimately like 130 pounds? That's probably not great. So there's like a few concerns that I have for Washington, but overall, I think they did a really good job of, committing to this this new regime. They brought in a ton of new players. Like year one of this completely new regime, new team. I think that it was a good foundational year. I hope that Jayden Daniels turns out well. I'm not wishing anything ill upon him. I just have my setbacks, my doubts when it comes to him. But I love the rest of their roster. But I think that's a good place to cut it off for the evening. Got a nice 40-minute show today. Like I said, later on in the week, I'm going to do similar to what I did with Russ today with Justin Fields, kind of see where he could fit into this offense and what, the pros of having him would be. And then on Thursday, like I said, I'll be at OTAs on Thursday. Tell you what I see, be doing a bunch of write-ups about that. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do all that YouTube stuff. Make sure you subscribe so you can keep getting daily videos, whether it be Black and Gold Breakdown, the Pump Fake, my national NFL show. Tomorrow, doing the NFC North preview show. Patriot Watch, you should tune in for that. Doing it with one of my best buddies in the industry, Ben Raven, who covers the Detroit Lions up there in Detroit for MLive. If you followed me for a long time, if you followed my content for a long time, you know that Ben and I have been friends for, 4 or 5 years at this point, where, if you're familiar with my content and followed me for a long time, you know Ben. He's tremendous, does great work. So he will be doing the NFC North preview show with me tomorrow for the Pump Fake. Again, talking all things Packers, Lions, Bears, and Vikings. So that'll be a fun show tomorrow. I don't remember what time we agreed to do it. I can look and see if we agreed to a time. I'm pretty sure we didn't even agree to a time yet. Pretty sure we didn't. Nope, no time. Sometime in the afternoon. I would say probably around like 2 o'clock Eastern will be the NFC North preview show tomorrow. What else is coming? Yeah, daily videos. Listen to the Pump Fake wherever you get your podcasts. If you can't watch it live or if you want to go back and watch it, it'll be on the channel. read all the written content at USA Today, at Behind the Steel Curtain. Do all of that. I don't think I'm leaving anything out. Yeah, Rob is so like, subscribe, share, hit. Yeah, I don't want to say all that stuff because it just sounds so basic and every other YouTube video you watch does it. And I know when I watch YouTube videos, every time I hear somebody say that, I understand why they say it, but I'm like, I don't want to now. So I'm never going to be, again, I'm not crapping on anybody who does it, but I'm never going to be the dude who's like, all right, guys, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification button. I'm not going to do that. Like, I ask you to subscribe because obviously that helps me. And if you like the Steelers stuff and if you like the NFL stuff, obviously subscribe because I'm doing it every day. So, but I'm never going to be the over the top fake, fake enthusiasm. What you see is what you get. If you subscribe, it'll make me happy. If you don't, okay. But we'll be back tomorrow, talk more Steelers. Again, the NFC North preview show with the pump fake. Listen to that wherever you get your podcast if you can't watch it. Appreciate all of you for tuning in. Again, hope you had a happy, safe Memorial Day. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in as always. Ciao.